Let's talk about it.
Well, let's talk about it, not so Lil Kim. I really didn't want to, but
Since everybody in a bald-headed mama got something to say about Dank.
all right, slow down, Missy Messy Eater Elliott.
Tonight on The Edge, a Detroit rapper is going viral for something other than her music.
Fans know her as Dank Demoss, and they're fuming after a Lyft driver allegedly denied her a ride because of her size.
That's right, because of her size, 489 pounds, a quarter ton of no fun.
I am a big person advocate.
Chill out, Rosa Porks. Just because you'll squeeze yourself into a car that you know you're too small for does not make you an advocate. What's up, everybody? Ty Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. All right, I mean it when I say I didn't plan to talk about this. Everybody and they bald-headed ass mama really has talked about this story, but she just won't leave it alone. Most recently, she posted a video of her getting into a small car just so she could prove that she actually did fit in the car. And what people have to understand in these situations is that no means no, even when you're in non-intimate situations. And if you guys don't know what's going on with this person, if you haven't seen it yet, I'm glad to be the one to break it to you, but I'm sure most people are familiar. This person, Dank Demoss is her name. Deja Banley is her actual name. And she decided to sue Lyft because a Lyft driver told her that he wasn't able to give her a ride and that she should get an Uber XL. But the main reason I wanted to talk about this is because she's already messed up her own case. So I don't know why she's going on social media, getting into small cars and then big cars, because she pulled a switcheroo. Like at first she gets into a small car, but she doesn't show herself actually getting into the car and what it took for her to maneuver into it. Instead, she shows her standing outside of the car, and then she shows herself when she's actually in the car. And then she drives off a few seconds later in a big car, like a Land Rover, I believe it was. But she already messed up the case, and I'll explain that in a second, but let's go ahead and get into this video.
Well, it all unfolded on video. Deja Banley whipped out her phone when this all happened. Now, the Lyft driver, he was kind enough and apologetic, but refused her a ride and said that she would not fit and that her weight couldn't be handled by his tires.
I mean, imagine that poor Uber driver. Let's be honest about it. You pull up and there's MC Not So Light waiting for a ride, and you're like, okay, well, I don't know that my car can handle this. I don't know that my suspension is ready. I don't know that I want to watch this person shoehorn their fat ass into the back seat of my car. And I think when she said he was kind enough and apologetic, that's the problem. People are too nice to people like this, and I don't think you should be mean to fat people. I don't think you should bully people. I'm not saying that at all. But I do think that you should be able to be honest with people, especially when they're being difficult with you. You should be able to say, hey, it's just not gonna work out. You're just gonna have to accept that. I know you're not used to people telling you no. I'm sure your parents gave you cake every time you wanted it, but you're not gonna fit in my car. I'm gonna need you to kindly grease into somebody else's car. I saw her on The Breakfast Club, and she didn't want them to say the F word.
The F word, people should just be in a house when it's like,
The F word?
Yeah, the F word.
Because the word fat is a bad word to her.
I'm not
The word that you can't say in your house,
Yeah,
fat.
I'm not saying that word.
Yeah, we don't use.
Which people like her need to hear the word fat. And like I said, not in a bully way, not in an abusive way, but you should be able to say, look, girl, you're fat. This isn't pleasantly plump. This isn't fluffy. This isn't thick. This isn't big boned. This isn't heavy set. This is fat.
Now she's filing a lawsuit.
Have you been in cars that size before?
Yes, I have. I've been in cars smarter than that, you know?
Deja Blanding tells us she was just trying to get to a Detroit Lions watch party this month when her Lyft rolled up.
As I'm walking, I see him like making faces or whatever. I'm like, oh man.
Well, of course he was making faces, Piggy Smalls. He knows what he's dealing with.
She already knew.
I can fit in this car.
Believe me, you can.
Yes, I can.
Believe me.
He told her there's not enough room in his car.
The kicker part was when he started to talk about his tires. You know, I feel like that was a slap in the face. That was like my tires, you know, like.
The driver said his tires could not handle her weight.
The news is lying right now. That's not what he said at all. I'll play the actual video clip.
And to be more specific with you, I got very tired tires.
If you notice, what he said was his tires are tired.
And to be more specific with you, I got very tired tires.
And that's probably because he's had a long night Ubering and he knows he's tired and he's not even the one carrying everybody around, and he wanted to look out for his car. His car is his best friend, and he was like, look, I know you can't handle this big bitch, so let's just go ahead and give her money back, let her find something a more appropriate size for her, and keep it pushing. Not to mention, I actually know a couple of really big people like this. One of them is a comedian that has gone on the road with several other comedians now and broken, no exaggeration, 3 catalytic converters. 3 catalytic converters in 3 different cars. Because what happens is, if you have that kind of weight in your backseat and you go over like a speed bump or you hit a pothole, you bottom out, and then you'll end up cracking your catalytic converter because you've got all that weight in the back. And I priced it because the man is driving a Mercedes, which obviously is an older Mercedes. You hear it tick, 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 ticking. You can hear that. It doesn't sound the best. That's a Mercedes that he's in. But to replace the catalytic converter on a Mercedes, it is between $2,280 and $2,430 for a new catalytic converter. I don't know what Uber drivers you guys have ever met before, but being a comedian, sometimes I have to take Ubers a lot. And some of them will tell me that they only do Uber, and others will tell me that they use Uber as supplemental income. So either way, they really need their cars and they're out there to make money. So if you could possibly lose in the neighborhood of $2,500 because the notorious PIG over here can't accept that you just don't want her in your car, that doesn't sound like a reasonable request to me.
Every big person you turn down because they can't fit in your car?
Yeah, because they need to order the Uber XL.
No, I don't never have to order Uber XL.
Girl, you know everything in your life is an XL, if not a double XL, so stop playing with us.
He apologized, canceled the ride, and left her there. The rapper says she's pretty tough. I get the money and flip it and make some food. Dank Demoss, as she's known at the mic, is crushed by the whole situation.
If you think you're crushed, imagine what you were going to do to his car.
I just want them to know, like, it really hurt my feelings.
It looks like Lyft might be hurting pretty soon, too.
I knew it was illegal and I knew that it was wrong.
You can always find some unscrupulous ambulance chaser to take a case like this. He saw it on social media, saw dollar signs, and was like, let's do it.
Her attorneys, John Marco and Zach Runyon, say weight is a protected characteristic in Michigan by law.
I've been to Michigan. I can see why.
It would be no different than a driver pulling up and saying, you know, I don't want to have black people in my car, or I don't want to have Christians in my car or Muslims in my car. It's the same. Under the law, it's the same.
Okay, I'm not going to lie and act like I'm some legal scholar, but that does not sound like the same thing to me.
The lawsuit is filed. Since she posted the encounter on social media, other full-figured folks have reached out saying the same thing happened to them.
Then they should all start a diet support group, because the problem ain't Lyft, the problem ain't Uber, the problem ain't that driver, and the problem ain't his car. The problem is you're too damn big. And also, when I was watching on The Breakfast Club, she brought a guy with her and he was like, if they had 4 people that weighed about the same amount as her, they would still take them in the car.
I bet if it was 4 125-pound bad drunk bitch, he would have let their ass in. He would have fit their ass in. That's 500 right there.
And it's like, that's because the weight would be evenly distributed. It's not the same as just having that one big weight in one spot. Also, how are you going to get the seatbelt across you? That's one of the rules for Lyft and Uber. As soon as you get in the car and close the door, you get a notification reminding you to put your seatbelt on. If he doesn't have an extender, it's just not going to happen.
I can fit in this car.
No, believe me, you can.
Yes, I can. I really want people to see, like, what we go through as bigger people, you know?
All kidding aside, what you really need to see is what people like you put other people through. You're worried about yourself and your comfort and your feelings, but a lot of times big people like this really are entitled and think that they should be able to fit anywhere.
I just feel like it should be accommodated.
And sometimes you really are making the rest of us uncomfortable. Like one time I was on a puddle jumper, you know, like one of the small planes, and they only have 2 seats on each side, and there was this really big guy, and that was assigned seating. That was like on Delta or something like that, and I had to be squeezed up literally. And I've had other fat people, I call them spillers to tell you the truth, because they spill over their seat, and so I don't want your fat on my arm. It feels so disgusting when you can feel somebody's hot belly right against your arm, and you're just like, at that point the divider is no longer an issue for you to put your arm on it. It's like, I'm just not going to put my arm on the divider because this person is spilling over. So I'll be trying to make myself smaller so that I can accommodate them. And it's like, why do the rest of us have to suffer because you can't control your food intake?
We did reach out to Lyft. They did not get back with us in time for this story. Now, Lyft, Uber, those rideshare companies, they can refuse passengers based on a perceived security threat. But according to Deja's attorneys, you cannot discriminate based on someone's weight. It's very clear in that cell phone video. That is why he denied her ride.
I would argue that it wasn't because of her weight. It was because of her size, which I know that sounds like the same thing, but really it's not about just the weight. It is about you physically not being able to fit into the car. And if the man says you can't fit in his car, then you can't fit in his car. And I don't think there's anything wrong or discriminatory about that. And like I said, I really do have a problem with the entitlement with some of these people where it's like,
accommodate me.
why? Why should anybody work extra hard because you can't control your food consumption? So that's the actual story. Let's hear just a little bit more from her because she is one of those people that's mad at everybody else because of her decisions. And I get it. If you want to be a BBW, in other words, a big, beautiful woman, go ahead and do that. But don't expect other people to pay the price because of it. If you're really proud of the way you look, I get that. I respect that. I appreciate that. Do I believe you're actually happy? I don't. But if you say you're happy, I'll take you at your word. But act like a happy person. And when you have to get an Uber XL, get an Uber XL. Or just assume you need an Uber XL because you know how big you are and order an Uber XL without anybody having to tell you to.
First of all, let's touch bases on the big bitches in the back that got something to say about me. I seen a bitch say go walk.
You mean you're mad because somebody gave you good advice? Because you should walk.
Like you only like one burger away from being my size. Like y'all hoes got me f***ed up.
You know it's bad when you have to use yourself as an insult. But the difference between you and them is they're probably smart enough to know that they need an XL or they drive their own car.
Second of all, I never contacted Lyft. Then y'all talking about, oh, she posted a video for clout. I am the fucking clout.
Don't try it, Miss Biggums. I didn't know a single person that had heard about you before this story happened. So you might have a following somewhat on TikTok, but really, you're not the clout. Before we go any further, I just want to ask that you like, comment, and subscribe. When you hit the subscribe, also make sure that you click on the bell to select all notifications so that you know every time I upload. Now, let's get on with this video.
I've been doing this shit a long time.
By doing this shit a long time, do you mean trying to squeeze into cars that were too small for you?
I posted this video because y'all got us f***ed up. Y'all always trying to put big people in a f***ing category.
Why would they be trying to put you in a category? Maybe people are just being honest with you and you're not used to it. Because she also said on The Breakfast Club that not only does she not say fat, her whole family doesn't say fat. So everybody's been lying to her for a long time.
Oh, big people this or big da-da-da-da or big this and da-da-da. Stop doing that shit. Y'all want us to be in a f***ing house, miserable, bored.
No, nobody wants you to be in the house miserable, bored. I don't mind when fat people are just around. Fat people don't bother me. But like I said, sometimes you are inconveniencing people with your size. And at that point, it's not about aesthetics. It's about logistics.
Oh, cover up or da-da-da-da-da-da. You can't wear that. You big and da-da-da. Fuck you. You.
I don't really know a lot of people that are worried about what fat people wear like that. I personally do not care when fat people wear things that are revealing or try to be sexy. I have no problem with people trying to express themselves or choosing to express themselves. It's not about any of what you're trying to make it about. And even though people were having fun on the internet, you got to expect that. You're on the internet. And also, she does have a decent following, so she's used to people making big jokes. I'm sure of it. She's got 145,000 followers. I'm sure there's plenty of fat jokes that they zing her with. So now she's trying to act brand new.
The niggas and the bitches that's saying that shit. I am a big person fucking advocate.
Okay, so that's the other thing. She's a big person advocate because, again, I know she's not saying fat here. She's saying big person. She's a big person advocate. I saw her talking about that on the Breakfast Club, and she said
bigger people should be accommodated, just like we accommodate the LGBT community.
And what she doesn't understand is people don't even really want to make exceptions for LGBT anymore. And especially as gay men, I don't really know what accommodations she thinks people are making for us or that we're requesting of people at this point. I mean, it's just not the reality of it. The world is changing to where people are being less sensitive to the choices other people make, and I'm 100% for it. So if it's about me being gay or her being fat, our lives are our lives, and as long as people aren't truly discriminating against us, I'm not sure what anybody would have to complain about.
And I'm not the only person that they did that shit to, bitch. I'm just the only person that's gonna stand up.
Standing up is only half the battle. You're gonna have to get moving if you want to lose any of those calories.
I'm the only person that's gonna post a video. I'm the only person that's gonna speak up. I'm the only person that's gonna say something. I'm the only person that's gonna put a stop to that shit. Cause y'all got me fucked up. Why the fuck y'all don't have an option on the fucking app that say, are you of size or so that we can send you a bigger car or something?
They do have that option. It's called Uber XL, and we all see it when we order Ubers. So why wouldn't you exercise that option? Oh, that's right, because you're allergic to exercise.
That's humiliating. Like, what the f***? It's just below zero. I'm outside and you pulling off on me.
You're humiliating yourself. You made that choice. Stop blaming other people for your bad decisions. Stop blaming other people for what you put in your mouth. Stop blaming other people for what you put in your body.
I don't give a f*** if you gave me my fucking money back.
Well, really, once you got your money back, you should have been happy if you ask me. Everything's even. He gave you your money back. You just book another ride, one that's the appropriate size. You're a rapper. You're the clout. If you're really the clout, what comes with the clout? Money comes with the clout. So you can afford Uber XL.
I don't give a f*** about none of that shit. Like, y'all got us f***ed up. Bitch, I'm not in the house. I'm outside. I'm showing my stomach. What is y'all talking about?
None of this is the point. None of what you're talking about is the point at all. Nobody cares what you're showing. The Lyft driver didn't turn you down because he thought you were dressed inappropriately. It was because of your size and your shape and the fact that you weren't going to fit in his car, or his car was going to sustain damage if you did squeeze yourself into it. That's what it's about. It's not about people trying to tell you to stay at home. It's not about people trying to tell you to hide yourself. It's none of that. It's just you were too big for the car.
Stop playing with me on this bitch-ass internet.
You need to stop playing with everybody else on this bitch-ass internet. That's what I would say. And like I told you guys, she's already messed up her case anyway, because the thing is, she doesn't need anything special, right? That's what she maintains. And when she was on the Breakfast Club, she was trying to say that she has been in cars smaller than that, like she said in the news story, and really maintaining that she's just like everybody else.
I don't have a big person head. Like, I don't have no, for real, y'all.
But immediately after they introduced her on the Breakfast Club,
it's the only seat y'all got?
She was sitting in a regular chair, and what she should have done was, even if she was a little uncomfortable, just stayed in the regular chair to prove the point that she really doesn't need anything special from anybody else. If that's what she's maintaining, we can tell by looking at her that that's not true. But if we're playing along, she sits in the chair, even if it's uncomfortable for the while that she's there. She was on for about 40 minutes. You can deal with being uncomfortable for about 40 minutes, especially to prove a point and to win some money in a lawsuit. You can definitely be uncomfortable for 40 minutes. But instead, she had to ask,
what you want? What you need?
There's one more. A bigger chair or something.
Them to bring her over a small sofa, a love seat, a part of a sectional. I don't know what you would call that, but that's what it was. She needed special accommodation. So you're trying to tell us that you're the same as everybody else, and then you can't sit in a regular chair like every other guest that they have at the Breakfast Club.
We had to bring the part of the sectional for you to sit in.
So I really do think that's going to affect her when it comes to her actual case, because Uber or Lyft or the driver will just be able to say, Your Honor, she just wouldn't physically fit. that's what it was. And I know she's on a diet now.
She's lost 80 pounds.
She
started at 580.
Which is good for her. It's great for her. And that's one thing I can say in the positive. If anybody's out there that's dealing with being a bigger person, I know sometimes bigger people, because I go to the gym quite a bit. Lately, I haven't been at all almost, but I'll be back soon enough. I've just been so busy. But there are times where I am what you would call a gym fanatic, a gym rat, some would say. And my body will look like it at those times. Right now, I'm just kind of okay. But there are times when I really, really work out. And one thing I will tell you is if you are a bigger person, you should not at all be intimidated by going to the gym, because secretly, subconsciously, internally, we cheer you on. People that are at the gym regularly, we will in our heads cheer you on, because we know that you're taking steps to better yourself. And in a weird way, I know a fair amount of us are proud of you. Even though we don't know you, we see you obviously. And we see that you are literally taking steps, because you are on the treadmill in a lot of cases, which is where you should be. Doing cardio. Sure, if you want to do some weights, do some weights. But really, cardio is where you need to be focused and less calories. But we see you actually taking steps literally and figuratively to better yourselves. And I know some people are like, but I'm just self-conscious because I don't know how the machines work, or I'm not the most familiar with everything. Nobody cares. We all have been there too. So nobody's judging you in any way. If you ever need help, you can usually ask people. There's so many nice people at the gym, and I know I'm getting kind of positive right here, but I've been sassy enough and I can afford this right now. Honestly, other people that go to the gym, we know what it's like. We all know that awkward feeling, whether we started off heavier or we started off much thinner. We know what it's like to be new. We know what it's like to be self-conscious. We know what it's like not to know where anything is or how anything works. So take advantage of that. Ask people for help. Ask people how things work. Ask people what you can do, even as far as diet and different workout programs. Sometimes people can give you a lot of tips that will cost you nothing. You don't have to get an expensive trainer. You just get moving. And so I'm glad that this girl is getting herself in shape, because being that size is not sustainable. It's not even about aesthetics at that point or me judging in that way. It really is about do what's healthy for you. Make sure that you're able to live a long life. You're a good looking girl. She is very pretty in the face. She's a good looking girl, and you don't have to be a skinny mini, but just get down to a manageable size. Like some of the video that I showed on this, like clips, it's ridiculous to be that size. And it's not good for your heart. It's not good for your bones. You're putting a lot of strain on your body that you don't need to put on your body. So make it your problem. You work on yourself and stop suing people because of the poor decisions you've made. Take some responsibility, take some accountability, make your life better, not only for yourself, but for your family and your loved ones, so they have you around as long as possible. Anyway, that's the way I feel about it. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you want to see a video of me talking about the fact that the T as in trans just took another L as in lost, click the video on your screen. Other than that, thank you for watching. As always, this has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.
They bought into his bullshit.